To Nancy Cordes now for a closer look at the changing architectural face of Washington, D.C. and the controversy swirling around it.
This is a photo of the crew on the far right. That's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
Vietnam veteran Sean Burns had always planned to one day be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Now, he's not so sure.
I'm entitled to be buried there. And so are my colleagues, but we're all reconsidering that. It's going to depend on whether this arch goes up.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
It's disrespectful. It's wrong.
Burns is one of 3 veterans suing the Trump administration over this, a triumphal arch President Trump wants to build to celebrate America's 250th birthday. At 250 feet, it would be taller than most buildings in D.C. and would stand just across the Potomac River in a traffic circle at the base of Arlington National Cemetery.
It's going to be really beautiful. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Critics argue the arch would obstruct historic sightlines between the cemetery that was built during the Civil War and the memorial to Abraham Lincoln, the man who ended that war.
Had you ever done anything like this before?
I hadn't, but I was angered by it. There are 400,000 American veterans buried at Arlington National Cemetery. We thought this was disrespectful, particularly coming from a man who'd called Americans who'd volunteered and served, wore the uniform in various wars, suckers and losers. So we took this step.
The arch is just one way President Trump is seeking to remake the nation's capital in his vision. His face now adorns multiple government buildings as he oversees dozens of projects around the city.
Washington, D.C. is now a safe and beautiful place, and it's only going to get more beautiful.
So far, he has resurfaced the National Mall's reflecting pool, made plans to overhaul the public golf course along the Potomac River, and proposed a new Garden of Heroes featuring 250 sculptures. He also demolished the east wing of the White House in a surprise move last year, and his name was added to the Kennedy Center. A judge has since ordered its removal.
All of a sudden, the columns were one day white.
Charles Birnbaum is the president of the Cultural Landscape Foundation and an expert on Washington, D.C.'s historic core.
It was a place designed with purpose, like a quilt. And for generations, the city's design and planning has contributed to that quilt, to honor its bone structure and to understand its place in this mosaic of 250 years.
Birnbaum says every new project is meticulously designed to avoid interfering with the other patches on the quilt.
Whether it's the arch or the ballroom, these are massive objects that are being forced upon spaces that have symbolism, that tell the story of who we are as a people, and they also symbolize how the view shed can be uninterrupted, how light and shadow across a lawn at the White House is not open space for construction.
It's not just about the structures themselves, it's also about the empty space between them?
Right. The space actually isn't empty. The space is actually there satisfying a purpose.
As Trump's projects have mounted, so have the lawsuits over the lack of public input or congressional authorization, and over the use of no-bid contracts to speed up construction.
Why do you think the president, with all of these projects, is moving so quickly?
I think there's a legacy that he may be looking for, but the city isn't his own personal portfolio.
Rebecca Miller is executive director of the D.C. Preservation League, which has filed 6 lawsuits against the administration.
You have the reflecting pool, which has been compromised from the sealant coming up, and the algae blooms and whatnot.
So you're saying there are consequences when these projects move too quickly?
Yes.
The White House would probably argue that all cities evolve and new structures go up, old ones come down, and they're just doing deferred maintenance.
Well, demolishing the entire East Wing isn't deferred maintenance. There's been notes of, oh, it was terribly ridden with all kinds of asbestos and lead paint. Well, we've not seen those reports.
Some of that debris dumped in a nearby park. The cost of all this beautification and restoration has topped $100 million so far and is projected to grow to nearly $1 billion, with the money coming from both public and private sources. At least $80 million has been diverted from national parks. In a statement, the Department of the Interior told Sunday Morning, great nations build beautiful structures and works of art that cultivate national pride and love of country.
We are lucky at this point to have a builder president who appreciates the style of Jefferson to have that city be the President Reagan's shining city on a hill.
Rodney Mims Cook is the chair of the Commission of Fine Arts, a body now made up entirely of Trump appointees. The commission is responsible for reviewing projects like the proposed White House ballroom, which was approved in less than 2 months.
Some planners we've spoken to have argued that the National Commission of Fine Arts has become a rubber stamp for President Trump. What's your response to that?
They're wrong.
Why do you say that?
Because the president listens to us, and we've had my conversations with the president are confidential, but he enjoys this. He is very educated about it.
Why did your commission approve that ballroom so quickly without the typical amount of public input that you would see for a project this important?
So the White House is an insufficient plant for the presidency of the United States. It's been complained about since the Harrison presidents. And now with drones and people who tend to shoot at leaders, it's a security problem of a major note.
Cook has also been one of the driving forces behind an arch in D.C. In fact, his Atlanta-based office is located on top of an arch, similar to the one he'd like to see in Washington.
I proposed it as a private citizen 26 years ago because it will ultimately become the de facto gateway into Arlington Cemetery. And the current gateway into it is insufficient.
Why not put it somewhere else in Washington?
Well, you couldn't have a more open space in the entire District of Columbia than that space for such a properly scaled arch. It's 2 feet higher than the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe is 164 feet tall, and it is surrounded by a massive city. This is surrounded by parkland.
His commission signed off on the arch in May, and another key approval could come as early as September for what some opponents, like Sean Burns, have dubbed the Arc de Trump.
We have several other iconic monuments to presidents, Washington, Lincoln, Jefferson. They were not built at the orders or direction of any of those 3 men. They were built after they were deceased. This is not the case with this monument.
You think he wants a monument to himself?
You don't?